Hey everybody, time for some more pixel art. This is another Demon Knight. So just like the last one, the Demon Knights have those recurring patterns in their coloring and designs. A deep crimson armor and bluish purple flesh. Gleaming yellow eyes. Otherwise, anything goes. Just like the game's vampires and angels, they can basically look like anything, with just a few patterns and motifs. Obviously, the knights are all gonna have a militaristic or just otherwise warrior-like look to them. This one is more like an armored spider monster, wielding a bunch of swords at once. I think that loosely fitting Pickelhaube helmet really helps. Gives the monster some good character. This sprite was pretty big, but was pretty straightforward. Didn't encounter any major problems while doing it. Everything went pretty smoothly. This guy will probably be guarding the east side entrance of the castle. I'm imagining a pretty straightforward but difficult fight. Been thinking a lot recently about designing better battles. One big issue about how I've been approaching this game's design is that I've been drawing a lot of monsters without giving too much thought on how the fight against them would go. I've been focusing a lot of the game's design not on the monsters and on the battles individually, but only from the perspective of the player's options in battle, or a player's progression with skills, or an overall area's design, small gameplay set pieces. It's like I've been spending a lot of time setting the stage for players' actions and decisions in battle being meaningful, but I've comparatively spent very little time designing individual battles that actually make the most of that system. I need to be more mindful of that in the future, and maybe I need to rethink a little bit how I approach enemy design. If I'm not careful, there's a very real risk that the final game will only be engaging in an exploration sense, and that battles will feel comparatively trivial. Like, the battles will only be a test of whether or not you've explored enough to have enough resources to fight the battles properly. Like, say, this one area here has a lot of enemies weak to acid damage, and that's all there is to it. Going through this area is a test of whether or not you've accumulated enough acid grenades. Obviously, this is just an obtuse description of resource management, but it would be a problem if it ended up feeling like this was all there was to the game. Like, most of the meaningful decisions you make are only long-term decisions. I haven't focused enough on making the players make shorter-term decisions that affect the current battle mostly. There are short-term decisions right now, but those decisions tend to be very similar between two different battles against different enemies. I need to work on having more variation in those short-term decisions. I just need to spend a little bit more time figuring out clever battles. Been sketching out a bunch of ideas on a notepad about this. A lot of things involving manipulating an enemy's range, or focusing your attacks on a certain target to disable certain enemy actions, stuff like that. Should be careful not to go too far in the other direction, too. If every single battle is super involved, it could all become a little bit exhausting. It could slow down the game's pace to something even slower than what it already is as a horror game. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Please share this video with your entire extended family. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe. Pickelhaube helmet.